Right. In this first video, we're going to cover the first part of the review for Chapter 2. Um, we'll start with, there's two parts to the test. One's going to be a non-calculator part, that'll be the first part, and the second part will be calculators will be allowed. You can see on the review that a few of these say without a calculator. It says that'll be on the first part of the test. There might be some other parts that are on the first part of the test. Also, if it doesn't require a calculator. Let's start with basic sketches on number 1. Here's two of them that were given to you to do basic sketches, and we're going to make an XY or an f of x chart here for these. Okay, so if we just start off with this, -3 in the absolute value, it's going to be +3. -2 in the absolute value is going to be +2, +1, 0, 1, and 2. So when we plot these points, you're going to have 0, -1, +1, -2, +2, -3, +3, +1, +1, and +2, +2. So it's going to be this V-shaped graph that will be on here. So what I expect is to see is just that you use the points that you picked and that you've drawn your line through those points, and this is the absolute value. Alright, square root of x on this one. We cannot put in negative numbers because there is no square root of negative numbers, so we're going to start with 0. Square root of 0 is 0. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 2 we don't know, so we're going to skip up to the next square root I know, which is 4. Square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of the next number I know is 9, is 3. So we're going to go with that. Here's 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3. So it looks kind of like this curved type shape, and it keeps going that way. So you should have 3 points labeled, so you can have 4, 2 here, 0, 0, and 9, 3. On this one we could have 3 points labeled 0, 0, 2, 2, and -3, 3 are 3 points that are labeled. Alright, now the next problem set asks you to do transformations without a calculator. That means we're going to shift or compress or translate. So the two things on this one that I asked you to do is graph this function here, but this is a shift. So this shift right here is a right 3 shift, and this shift is a reflect on the x-axis. Okay, so if we're going to take this graph and we're going to do that, so if we do F first, let's do that in this color blue. If we're going to do F in blue here, we're going to shift it over right 3. So 3, 3 would then become 5, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually 6, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that one would change to 6, 3. 0, 0 would shift to 0, 3. Or 3, 0, I mean. 3, 0, not 0, 3. 3, 0. And -2, -1 would shift over right 3 units, so it would be +1, -1. And this one here would shift, the 4 would shift over 3 to the right, so that would be -1, -3. It would shift to here. So each of those would shift. It would be the same type of curve here. It would curve up. There's a little curve here, and then a straight line right there. Okay, so that would be F. in this problem. Now if we do the next one as g, we would reflect on the x-axis. That's what the negative does here. If you want to reflect on the y-axis, you put the negative inside. So we're going to reflect on the x-axis here. So 3, 3 becomes 3, negative 3. 1, 2, 3, negative 3. We go right here. So that point is 3, negative 3. 0, 0 doesn't reflect, so it's still 0, 0. This point, negative 2, negative 1, we'd reflect to negative 2, positive 1. Negative 2, positive 1. And negative 4, negative 3 would reflect to negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then positive 3. So that one will be negative 4, positive 3. And it would look something similar. So this would be curved this way, and we'd have another curve this way, and then this would be the straight line between the two. It looks something similar, but reflected across the x-axis. Alright, some other things that we ask you to do here is to talk about what the shifts were, I believe. Let's look at this next part. It says apply and write the equations, apply transformations to graphs and equations, and write out the transformations. So this one right here would be a shift down vertically down 4 units. This one would be a reflection on x-axis and a stretch vertically by a factor of 2. This one would be a shift horizontally right 1, right, horizontal shift 1 unit, and vertically up 2 units. And then this one right here for 33, this would be a horizontal shift of 1 unit right. Okay, so that's describing those different shifts. Okay, and then this one, what was common here is we always work our way outward. So this one would have several different things that would happen to it, actually 4 different things. It would take the cubic function, and then it would shift it right horizontally 2. So the first thing would be right horizontally 2 units. The next thing that would happen to the x would be, it would be cubed, so that tells you what kind of graph it is, but then it would be a stretch, a vertical stretch of 4 units, by a factor of 4 actually. It's stretch by a factor of 4. And then we would reflect on x-axis. And lastly, we would shift vertically up 5 units. And that's the order it would have to be in, because that's the order you would apply if you put the X in there. The number would then, the first thing would happen to it would be shift, it would subtract 2, that would horizontally do that. It would then multiply by 4, which would stretch it, then it would be negative, so these two could be together, stretch and reflect, and then add 5 would be last. Alright, so that's the order. Now in these problems, you're looking at all of these problems that we talked about would be these graphs right here being translated. So if it was a square root, you would translate this graph. If it was a absolute value, you would translate this graph. So this one, this graph right here would be that V graph up at the top, the one that looks like a V but shifted down 4 units. This one would be the V graph, but it would be reflected, and it would be a sharper point on it. This one would be the square root that we have up there. This one would be the square that we didn't graph, but it would be one of the ones that you would already know, and then you would translate that curve. So you would first of all identify which graph you would translate in doing this. This is the cubic graph, so some of the given ones that we didn't graph up here, you still know how to translate them.